Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask Alane Mother's Day special. I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm going to repeat this greeting a couple of times just to make sure that everybody can hear it, because I know people jump on at different times, especially when you're doing live. And I want to start today by wishing a very special Mother's Day to um, everybody who works on my business, especially Huami and Chandler. There are lots of other. Now, in case you're new and you're joining me for the Mother's Day help, support, check-in, Ask Alane, we're talking about anything, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I especially focus on in my life and in my work, really both. And that is highly sensitive youth and highly sensitive people. That's that 20, maybe up to 25 or 30% of the population, depending on how you define sensitivity. Is it just the temperament of environmental sensitivity, or is it sensory processing sensitivity, the scientific name for the term, or the personality trait? Either way, whether it's 20 to 30, it's not a small minority, but it's not a popular minority. Well, what minority is popular in the US? For those of you who are in the US, we are very, very majority focused. And there's a reason for that, actually. We're a very young society, relatively speaking, and the majority had to rule to come in and conquer the wilds and conquer the indigenous people. And of course, I feel horrendous feelings about all of that. And at the same time, I wouldn't be here without it. And so that's how I came to be here and how most of you came to be here. So the majority rules, and it values the sword wielding, go out, get things done, don't think twice, don't even take a moment to think, just get it done type of person. I've got a heck of mosquitoes starting now that it's mid-May here in Northern California, so I may be waving at them. They love my electronics and my face. So we are a not valued minority, even though we're not that small of a minority. And so I think we tend to not talk about it. So if you are raising, or you are one of those folks who processes things deeply, who really has strong emotional reactions to things that you notice, or people, or your environment, maybe you notice the subtleties, the sounds and the smells and the things you see, and you use it to support people and to be an amazing leader in where your family or your work or wherever you might be. And maybe sometimes it gives you anxiety. Like me, I have misophonia. That means I notice every little sound you make when you eat. I think people who know that about me now are sort of afraid to share a meal with me. But in a restaurant with a lot of background noise, it's all good. I can handle it. So I wanted to jump on here because I think Mother's Day can be especially a challenging time for sensitive people. But we get these Hallmark holidays going, and they develop a certain kind of expectation in us about what it will be like. And so I thought I would start today just by asking people who are here on Zoom or on Instagram to share with us, what are your what has been your best Mother's Day if you're a mom? When has been an amazing Mother's Day? I'm going to lean over here and check on this for a moment. There we go. And what would be your ideal Mother's Day? So for the mothers out there, I'll just share with you. I think if you got my email this morning, you know that I'm alone and I'm an introvert. So I'm having an awesome Mother's Day already. I went up and did my horse chores and hung out with my animals, and now I'm hanging out with you. And I've been thinking a lot about being intentional. I don't have little kids in my house, and I can't go to where my mother is being celebrated for Mother's Day because it's in a different state. So I get to self-select. I get to do whatever it is I want to do for this Mother's Day. I also want to, so if you would like to share what makes a fabulous Mother's Day for you, if you're a mom, I would definitely love to put it out there for the community to see. I also want to say that I feel so sad, so deeply sad that I'm not with my mother or my child and today. And I visit my mom, who's 82. My mom and dad are both 82. I visit them regularly. several times a year, I'd say. And my son will be home next week. Well, no, in 2 weeks, a week and a half. And so I know that I will see them, but I feel the hole in me of not having them here. There's my substitute son, Banjo, running through. I'm going to have to, Banjo, quiet. I'm live. You can't bark right now. So tell me, what is someone says here, when my grown children do something special and I spend the day relaxing and doing whatever I want. I hear you. And I just want to say that, see, there's another woman with grown children. If you have young children, you probably don't get to do that. And so I have a little Mother's Day hack for anyone with young children. Today is about being a mother. One day this week, when they're in childcare or at school or with your partner or your mother or whomever you can farm them off to, that day is about honoring yourself as a mother. I've just been so aware of that my whole life, that the mothers are working on Mother's Day because, you know, you're celebrating your mother, or your kids want to do this, that, and the other thing. It ends up being a family holiday, right? It's not your day. And I also want to, oh, here's something I want to read to you. Time to myself. Here's an ideal Mother's Day. Time to myself, ideally to go sit by a stream with my toes in the water. And I just sit and think about my sweet kids while getting some space from them. Yes. I'm sure many, many people can relate to that. I love that. So that's me too. I really need the space. So even if my son was here, I would probably be really disappointed that he had some plans to go do something with someone else today. Okay. Someone else says, I'm looking forward to babysitting my grandkids ages 3 and 5 this afternoon. What a fabulous way to spend Mother's Day. Ah, yes. You know, kids that you can mother on your terms is a lovely way to do it too. I wonder if anybody is feeling loss or grief this Mother's Day and would like to share about that. And if anybody would like to jump on camera, no pressure, but if anybody would like to jump on camera and tell us about your story, well, welcome. Yes, great. Okay, let me, thank you, Sylvia. I'm going to invite you. Give me a moment.
No problem.
I'm going to add spotlight. There you go. Hi, what's up for you today?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Alane. I am so happy to be here and to see you. It's been a really long time. I love your haircut, by the way. I
Thank
really
you.
love it.
Thank you so much. I'm
I love it.
experimenting. I actually, my longer hair is pulled back. I'm trying to see if I can handle short hair.
I see. I just love it. Anyway,
Thank you.
The last time I saw you was in the HSP workshop on the book The Highly Sensitive Person in 2020. So I'm just grateful right now because, and today the way I'm celebrating my day was Mother's Day. I'm not a mother, but I'm celebrating, I guess, part of my recovery from a verbally abusive and emotionally neglect mother that I've had. So since you're inviting, you know, the pain, I'm not here to be the victim, but I'm here to acknowledge the reality that it had been a trauma, and I didn't know it was a trauma since I joined the highly sensitive person group.
Yeah.
So because I learned about small traumas and big traumas there, and I never knew this was in the back of my, I guess, nervous system lingering there for years and years and years.
Right.
So as you know, I celebrate that. I also have to, I guess, admit that I felt very much feel lost in the world because it's like being a bit of an orphan. Luckily, I had a good father, so I'm half of an orphan, thank God. But in terms of mother and belonging and, you know, a sense of, yeah, I mean, Mother Nature is Mother Nature. That's the only mother I really have.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Sylvia. I'm just going to recap a little bit for those who might not have heard because they're on the Instagram, but and for all of us, This is so true. Because of differential susceptibility, which is one of the main aspects of being highly sensitive, when you have a reactive brain, everything that happens to you in your life is more impactful, especially childhood. So when we were neglected or abused, or even just trying to be forced to try to be regular in the world, we sensitive children experience that as trauma. And I hear from sensitive women all the time that they didn't get what they needed from their mothers. And actually, none of us did. I mean, very, very few. I've met a few young women, like in their early 30s, whose moms knew about somehow early on about high sensitivity and really raised them to honor their sensitivity. But it's rare to meet a sensitive person who got everything they needed from their mothers. So, yes, amen to Mother Nature. And I just want to say, we have to mother ourselves. Like
Right.
you are the mother that you have. And you know what? You're going to do a hell of a better job than your mother was ever equipped to do. And I think we can all, I don't want to say should, we can all really send out our love to all the motherless, sensitive people out there, because you're not alone. It's actually, sometimes I try to get groups of women to work on their mothers around this time of year, sensitive women. And I think maybe 90% have pain around their mothers. You hear me, Sylvia? 90%. It's such a loss. It's not the story we're told by Disney, right? It's sort of like,
Yeah.
sometimes when I work with couples, sometimes I say, "Is my AirPod?" When I work with couples, sometimes I say, you were sold a crock of shit about marriage by the media. And we were sold that same crock about mothers, And so we grow up with so much grief and loss about their failings. So I don't know if I did this in the workshop that we met in, Sylvia, but one of the things I asked people to do is to do some work on who was your mother's mother and who was her mother. And, what were their stories? What created the mother that you had? Because our only path is toward, compassion, and most
Yes.
compassion toward that sweet little girl that you were and that you still have within. So
Yes. And I would like to say that there is recovery and there is healing and there is acceptance, because where I am today is I'm accepting my mom is an emotionally immature parent. So once I really got that, I can only accept, I can only understand and expect from her what she can give. So that's, so there's, like you said, there's only compassion now and healing as far as mothering myself, which is I'm still beginning.
absolutely. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. I really appreciate it. And listen,
Thank you, Elaine.
I want to say to you, Sylvia, and to everybody, happy Mother's Day, men and women, because we all have to mother ourselves now. If we're adults, we're what we got. So happy Mother's Day to all of us who are mothering ourselves. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing. See if I can relieve you from being on screen and bring on our next person. There we go. Hi, Lily. Let me see what I can do here. Ask to unmute and add spotlight.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lily. Welcome.
Happy faces and happy Mother's Day to each of you. Elaine, you've given me so much. I greatly appreciate it. I consider you one of my moms, along with myself, as we've been just discussing. I've recently reacquainted with my mother and kind of let go of a lot of that, realizing, yes, she didn't have any idea what was going on. She was still a very loving mom, just didn't know how to care for an HSP. I'm having a great Mother's Day. It's sunny, perfect weather here, and my daughter is away. So as all us HSPs, space is wonderful. Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 13, and she really brings it.
Yeah.
She's my story of becoming a mother. She's adopted, and we're very different. We're night and day. So it's been quite trying. And also I reflect on these days because I am not a mother who has birthed her child. So that's also there's some grief there for me.
Mhm. Yes.
So
I know. I just want to say again that being an adoptive or foster or even a pet mom can bring up tremendous grief in women who wanted to have a child or for some reason did not have a child or made a different choice. Even if one chose not to have a child or to adopt a child, there's still that. I think it's back to that story we were sold, but maybe some biological stuff too. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing that.
I'm also a pet mama, and my pets are definitely giving the love. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing.
I call this the HSP hug.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
giving you all hugs on this wonderful day for us.
And we can even do a little butterfly wings, a little EMDR butterfly wings while we're hugging, because it's bilateral stimulation. And if you do this, extra credit for your brain, if you close your eyes and imagine the most beautiful, serene place you could ever be while you do your butterfly wings.
And add that to my coping.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. You can do it for hours. It doesn't even get old. So I invite everyone to keep to butterfly wing. Give it to yourself. And maybe just a little loving touch. Ooh, just kicked my table. Sorry about that. A little bit of loving touch, other places on your body too. Yeah, I see somebody's doing their cheek. And I grew up, I don't know about you all, but I grew up with a desire and need to have my hair petted and just stroked, and to have that kind of loving touch. And I didn't even really know that. I discovered that in therapy. Thank God for good therapists, right? They really teach us how to be better mothers. Not to use my therapist lens too strongly, but I have gotten so much out of therapy in my life. So thank you so much, Lily. Appreciate you. And good luck with that 13-year-old girl. They come back around 15, 16, they turn back into humans. So there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh,
thank you. Would somebody else like to jump on and share or ask a question? Is there some way that I could support you today? I can always give you tools but if you gave me something that's a problem or a challenge for you, I could give everyone a specific tool around that, or any way that I could support you. So does everybody know on Zoom know how to use the raise hand? Well, Lily, you raised your hand. Hang on.
I am back. This isn't actually for me. This is another HSP, and she's camping this weekend, so she wouldn't have been able to come on. But her daughter, who's about 7, is HSP, and she's having a lot of night terrors right now. Would you have any advice for that? How to keep that as a mother?
I would love to talk about night terrors and how moms can support. I will take you so you don't have to be on the recording while I answer this, okay? Let me see here. Remove your spotlight. I can't believe how smoothly I'm doing this without my young moms supporting me. Okay. Sleep disturbances are really, really hard. And one of the things that I like about, and one of the things that I say about what our sensitive minds, reactive brains are doing at night, is they're working out everything that happened during the day. So for those who joined, I have mosquitoes. And so when I'm waving, I'm not hallucinating, although when I was in graduate school, I did think I was. So we are really, really working hard. Our brains are working so hard on what happens all day long in our lives. Our brains want to go deep and really process. So for adults who are here, let me hear from you. If you experience some insomnia, if you wake up in the middle of the night, do you find your brain gets going? Or maybe you have just incredibly rich and complex dreams. These are things that are really normal for highly sensitive people, for our reactive brains. They're processing. So we have to teach the children about their brains and about how their brains work. And then we teach them skills for quieting, just like you probably have skills for quieting your brain. So I'm going to teach everybody right now. And if you follow me, you've heard me say this ad nauseum for the last few months, or maybe for the last 8 months, I'd say. But one of the things that I use to quiet my brain is the coherent breathing method, which is in through the nose for 5.5 seconds and out through the nose for 5.5 seconds. So I'm going to invite everybody just to try that. I'll let you count it. The idea is, do you know that yoga thing where you raise, I've got my arms, you can't see them, but you bring your arms up as you inhale, and you're supposed to have your lungs all the way full when your hands get to the top. And then as you exhale, you bring them down. And at the same moment your hands get down, your lungs should be completely empty. It's very, very hard. It's synchronistic between your arms and your hands. The breathing, you can do it without your arms. The same deal with the coherent breathing is that you count to 5.5. There are reasons for that. I'm not going to go into them right now. As you inhale, and you want your lungs to be full when you get to 5.5. And then as you exhale, you want them to be empty. This is a great tool to teach to kids. They all, especially little kids, love to count. And the reason that we need to slow our breath down is because breathing too deeply or too quickly, which is what we all do, we breathe too quickly, humans now, causes our brains to have more anxiety. Now, if you think about just logically, many of us grew up seeing on TV or hearing somewhere that if you were hyperventilating, you would put a paper sack over your face and breathe into the sack, right? Actually, there's something to that. What it does is it causes you to breathe more consciously and more slowly and to get in less oxygen. Oxygen gives energy. When you're feeling anxious, you don't want more energy in your brain. You want less. So as I'm talking, are you trying your 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out, only through the nose? And many, many generations ago in human development, our faces were structured differently, and we only breathed. Is that? Yes. We only breathe through our nose. Now we breathe through our mouth a lot because our facial structures, our sinuses, our nasal passages have gotten so much smaller. So we have to really focus to breathe only through the nose. So this teaching children these kinds of breathing exercises is very, very helpful. Also, I have we have to train children to learn how to sleep again once they get into the pattern of night terrors. And it means that an adult has to be present a lot of the time to teach them to be with them in the moment when they're awake and they're in fear, to teach them how to manage it. So I cannot recommend highly enough a pediatric sleep consultant, because like many things, think about your own childhoods, everybody who's here. I'm assuming everyone who's seen this video is an adult or at least a teenager. If you think about when you were little and you had something really difficult happen to you, it was very, very hard to learn how to manage it without an adult to support you. Right? And that's part of some of our trauma, is sometimes we didn't have those adults, right? Now, here's the thing. If you have it over and over and over again, something negative that happened for me, I had a recurring nightmare in middle school. I don't think I'll subject you to it today, but I had it over and over again. And it wasn't violent or anything, but it was stuff, I was a sensitive girl. And so it was stuff that was really triggering to me. But because I didn't share it with anybody and I didn't get to talk about it with anybody, it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what happens. Say a child starts refusing to eat something or refusing to eat, period. If it's not dealt with really quickly, it becomes a complex. It becomes ingrained in them. So when you notice, for parents out there, when you notice that your child or a child that you're responsible for is having something that's outside the scope of what you would consider a normal childhood problem. And how do you figure that out? You talk to other parents, but also you talk to your pediatrician or whoever your holistic family practitioner is. When it's outside that scope, then it's time to seek professional help. And there are a lot of pediatric sleep specialists. I'm amazed by them. I especially love the SPACE program, SPACE. It's out of Harvard. You can look it up online. They have a free video on their website about teaching children about sleep, which is really quite brilliant. So without going into a lot more detail, that is what I'm going to offer about night terrors for right now. But I think my bottom line is get some help so it doesn't become the way this child experiences sleep forever. And this will be recorded. So tell your friend to come and find it on YouTube.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alane.
You're so welcome.
She will be most appreciative. I mean,
I'm so happy to be able to support. Okay, here's another nice comment. Night and day, my brain is over functioning. Practicing this breathing technique anytime I remember to do it helps me a lot. Great. I'm so glad to hear that. And it really does help me to settle. I might not fall back asleep, but it helps me to settle. So then there's this one more intervention I have around dreams, which is when you have a dream, especially if it's in some way alarming, something that you're not welcoming and embracing, I really recommend that you say thank you to your brain. To really develop this attitude toward dreaming and toward your brain to appreciate all the working that it does. It is amazing. And when it works that stuff out while you're asleep, it's the stuff that you weren't able to work out while you were awake. So embrace your dreams. It's sort of like a paradoxical intervention with a child. You know, you have a really active, acting out kid, and you wish like anything that they would settle down. And then, so you say, how fast can you run up that hill and how many times? I'll time you every time, right? So you ask them to do more activity, and eventually they feel enough settled and worn out by your acceptance that they settle. So I used to work with emotionally disturbed children in the classroom when I was in graduate school. And actually my first job right after graduate school, one of them was to work in classrooms and with children in the foster system and children who were really challenged. And I often did this. I'm turning my alerts off on my phone. We often said, you know, okay, everybody up, let's jump up and down. Nope, you can't stop, keep going. I got 2 minutes on the clock. So do that for your brain. Think more. Lean into the thinking, embrace the thinking. What else could I support you with? We have a few minutes left. I just want to say that my heart goes out to everyone who has a mom or is a mom or misses their mom or grieves what they didn't get from their mom. Because Mother's Day brings it up, my friends. It brings it up in a big way. And I think if we can just really open our hearts, oh, maybe I'll give you Warrior's Heart, because I think that's the best thing that we can do to support ourselves. So I'm going to teach my little exercise, Warrior's Heart. I think I'm going to remove this mic. You'll still be able to hear me. Oh, we have a raised hand. Before I do that, something weird's happening on my screen here. Let's see if I can find you. Diana, are you able to come on camera, or do you want to just talk? I hear you. Oh, there you are. Okay, hang on. Let me bring you.
I'm outside.
I love it. Wait, hang on.
But I think I have to talk to you differently. I'm not going to talk long. This will not be painful. Ha ha ha. Or maybe it will. I hope not. Don't intend it. Now, here I go on speak. Maybe you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah. I was able to hear you the other way too. Whatever works for you. Oh, no, wait, Diana, I don't hear you as well now. Can you go back the other way? I don't hear you. Shoot. Oh, I see another raised hand too.
Hi. I'm just greedy for these events, so I can't hear. If you talk to me, that's about wave, and I'll listen. I'm sitting in the middle of Broadway and 101st, where I live in Manhattan. And it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And it's a Mother's Day. And I just went to a friend of mine. She and I share the fact that neither of us have children, and we both have black cats.
Oh.
So, cats. Anyway, happy Mother's Day to everyone here. And I just want to say, actually, it's kind of like, I hope this is okay, that when I was growing up, I was so sensitive and, didn't have any tools or resources to calm down. So I spent and my mom wished I were different, but I love her. Happy Mother's Day. Anyway, the point is that early on, and I have a lot of sensitivity in my ears, and did even then. And so when I was a toddler and went to like day school or whatever, it was hard for me because of all the other voices and screaming and singing from the other children. But I realized then that it would be difficult, even as a little person. I realized that I would not make the best mother, because though I have a loving heart, that I would just get overwhelmed by having another person, a little baby, a little toddler around me. And so I thought I wouldn't be able to offer much, but I'm glad for people who are mothers. And I do have godchildren who are now at the point of having their own children. So I'm a grand godchildren, but that's right. And they live in another town. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Diana's coming on to just wish everyone who doesn't have children and doesn't have their mothers anymore love and compassion. And I love the, having godchildren or being a godmother or a god grandmother. Or I have a friend, two different friends who've talked to me about their stepchildren and their step grandchildren. Are they the real grandchildren? And I say yes, indeed. So thank you so much for sharing from New York City, Diana, about your experience. And I'm so happy to have you here. And, I love when we have Wise Women in Wonder, which is our monthly meeting for sensitive women over 55. I really love some of you are here today. And, I feel like we mother each other. And that's something really important that we have as women. Most of the people on the call today are women. I think it's so important that we mother and each other and honor that. So let me bring you on, Becca. Thank you. Let's see here. Did you? There we go. Oh, shoot. You unmuted at the same moment that I asked you to unmute. There you go.
There we are.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me today. I love your background. Oh, it looks so peaceful.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
I just wanted to add, maybe ask a question. My mother is elderly at 87, and her health is declining rather rapidly. And this being Mother's Day, I would like to be able to have a adult child and mother conversation with her, with more of an approach with her in mind, to not think so much of myself, but to honor what it is that she expects of me as a daughter. And I'm not really sure, not just for today's conversation with her on Mother's Day, but at other times. How can I honor her as an adult child and approach her, learning for myself that a lot of my influence in the relationship with her has to do with my fears that I inherited as a child and endured during a very aggressive relationship that she and my father had, which ended in divorce. So my question is, what's a good way to approach her in a loving way and try to put all that other stuff behind us and to honor her, know what to say? She lives in another state, so we would be talking on the phone only. not visiting her today.
Thank you so much, Becca. So the question is, how do I, as an adult, have a loving and meaningful conversation with my elderly mom, with whom I have a complicated relationship, is what I'm hearing. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
And I invite people who are here to respond to Becca as well. I have these conversations myself, so I will share my experience, strength, and hope on this. And for everyone who's here on live on Instagram, you may have a hard time hearing some of the questions that are coming in. But if you comment in my most recent post on my grid on Instagram, we will send you, or just DM me, I will send you the link to the YouTube video of this conversation so you can catch it. That's such a great question. And I ponder this all the time. So one of the things that I practice really avidly is I use the Serenity Creed. So, and I hope everybody here is in our spirituality and sensitivity mini course, which we launched in April. I talk about it a lot in that course, but it's grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And what it comes down to for me, the reason it's so important to me as a highly sensitive person is that I have really high empathy. I have a lot of empathy. And so what that means is that I have to really rein my advice and my care and my brilliant ideas in. I have to rein it in quite a bit, and really focus on myself and remember the whole talk to the hand thing, which is that everything out here I can't control or change or do anything about. So all I can really do is keep the focus on myself. This is what I have power over. So the first thing I would say about these conversations, and anyone could apply this to any difficult conversation you have to have, which is that I really speak to or work on what my needs are in the relationship. And I try really hard to meet them myself. Right? Because now you are two adults in relationship. She's not your mom anymore in terms of providing you all the things that she coulda, shoulda, woulda, and maybe did provide, right? We don't have that relationship with our adult parents anymore. Now we are standing as sister or fellow adults. Someone here says, my mom's 89 years old and limited in her ability. I do a lot of self-compassion with me when I'm with my mom. I share this compassion with her. I love that. So I wanted to read that right then because it follows beautifully on the Serenity Creed. So thank you for sharing that. That we have to, that's being our own mother. That's that inner compassion that we apply, not just self-compassion, but that we really turn compassion toward ourselves. And then we do have it in us to turn it toward them. So I try that as well for the person who shared that. Something that I do a lot is I express peer compassion toward my parents, toward my mother. And I recently read something that another psychologist wrote that I really loved about adult children and adult parents having relationships and I was thinking about my son at the time, but it also popped into my mind, my relationships with my parents, because we don't have the parent-child relationship anymore, that we have to show genuine interest in each other in order to have a relationship like we would with anyone we want to have a relationship with, right? And it's hard to let go of all the past that you have with them. So the other piece that I do, maybe this is too simple for you, for what you're asking, but the other piece that I work really hard on is, I guess it comes from loving kindness. But I really work on my unconditional love. And unconditional love, it's hard, right? Because there are all these conditions. If you were parent and child, like sometimes I don't know what I believe. I'm not into any religion, actually. I'm a very highly spiritual person. But I'm just going to say that sometimes I think about this idea of previous and future lifetimes together. And I imagine that most parent and child dyads that have a very strong positive or negative bond probably have many lifetimes of history. And I was reading this thing. This might have been a Christian thing. I can't remember. I study a lot of spiritual and religious writings about how if you have to clean up whatever your stuff, or you're taking it with you to the next place, whether it's your next lifetime or heaven or the grave, whatever you think it is, whatever you didn't clean up, whatever is still messy in there, it's going with you. So we have the opportunity to work on it now or to take it with us. So I try really, really hard to be present with my parents as other beings. And I definitely, for parents of young adult children, especially teen to young adult, maybe this applies to adult children too, I'm not there yet. But for those of you, it is so hard to do with them. It's much harder as the mom to do this when they're still acting like, they still need you, right? So I'm going to read a few pieces of advice from the chat. Becca, do you have anything else that you want to say or ask before I release you from the camera?
One thing that came to mind when you were speaking was that we need to have self-compassion for ourselves, and that we need to clean up here while we're here on this plane. And that's one concern that I have with my mom, is that she does still carry a lot of baggage in her backpack. And I'm learning how to deal with my own stuff in my backpack. And I see that she is not able to, or she's not aware that she could work on it. And yeah, that's the tough part. I see that she's struggling with past trauma.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. I see that sometimes as well. And, in the 12-step programs, they say God doesn't have grandchildren. And God also doesn't have grandparents, that we each have our own higher power, if you believe in higher power, or our own path. And I work on this in therapy all the time around my parents. I hope they don't see this video saying it, but maybe it's okay. That I feel and see their pain that they're still carrying. And it's back to the Serenity Creed. I can't do anything for them except love them and offer them my compassion. And for those of you who no longer, either you don't have a relationship where you can offer your parents that compassion, or you no longer have your parents on this earth, it doesn't matter. You can still offer it, because the way compassion works, it's what's in your heart. So that is a loss. And it's really, really, really hard with your empathy not to be able to help her. But you don't underestimate my friends. I'm looking at everybody, not just Becca. You cannot underestimate the power of your love and compassion toward others. It changes everything. It's magic. It's Hermione or Harry Potter's wand. I am not kidding you. Love and compassion, even if you don't think they're here to receive it, it doesn't matter. It still goes. It changes you, it changes them, and you know what? It changes the world. So as much grief as there is that we have to see, those of us who have to see our parents suffer or our kids suffer, we can do that work right here within us, and it will change her. I promise. So I wish you great strength, compassion, and love for yourself, because that will translate to your mom.
Thank you so much, Alane. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Becca. A couple other people have shared here. I'll just share. One says, seeing my mom as not my mom, separating my child self from her, helps me see and accept her as a loving human being rather than the mom that was lacking what I needed or maybe still want from her. Oh, I mean, my, I don't know what age, 7-year-old self is present every time I go to Oklahoma. And sometimes every time I speak with them, even though we definitely are shifting in our roles, it's that we always have that longing. It's just part of who we are. Someone else says, a lot of times I show more interest about my mother's life than she shows for mine. So it still doesn't feel mutual, sadly. And you know what? It's never really going to feel mutual. it isn't going to feel that way. That's not the nature of your relationship. And a very, very few parent-child dyads have that kind of absolutely mutual adult relationship, because you have the baggage. Like, you each have your own baggage from your own life, but your baggage is directly correlated with your parents, right? So it's about living into and rising into your wise self. And what works for me best is to work on the soul and spirit realm, as Elaine Aron preaches in the last chapter of her book, The Highly Sensitive Person, to really, really consciously work on your inner compassion and using loving kindness to send compassion out to the world. Now, I'm going to tell you, we're not going to have time to do the Warrior's Heart today because we're over time. I really appreciate everyone who's being here. And on Instagram, if you would like to have the link to this recording, please either DM me or comment in my most recent post, and we'll be sure and get it to you. It'll take us a few days to get it up. And we'll send it to you. We'll clean it up a little bit and send it off. So what I wanted to say is that when we send our best selves and we honor our spiritual selves, we really work on it on a daily basis. When we take our empathy and first turn it toward ourselves, then we're able to use that unconditional love and loving kindness and send it out to the world. But you have to do yourself first. And I often say this, but I just want to say, you know how Ellen DeGeneres at the end of her show always said, be kind to others, or be kind to one another out in the world. I would like to twist that and say to HSPs, I'd like to be the Ellen DeGeneres of HSPs. How's that? I want to say, be kind to yourselves. You have no problem being kind to others unless you're overstimulated. If you think you're not kind to others, you're spending too much time overwhelmed, right? But in your heart, empathy is so high that you're kind to others. So I want to say, be kind to yourselves. Take care of you. And then all of those other relationships will become so much easier and more loving and more smooth. So thank you so much for being here today. Someone put in, focusing on ourselves is the only person we can change, right? So absolutely focus on yourself. And she mentions Codependence Anonymous, and I've spent my entire adult life in Al-Anon, and for sure the 12 steps are a great tool for learning how to not be as codependent and people pleasing. It's the problem is, for mothers and highly sensitive people, we both are gifted with a birthright toward this great empathy, toward taking care of others. So we have to work extra hard. And I'm not even going to say double. We have to work 100 times as hard to take care of ourselves. And when you're taking better care of yourself, then you will be able to apply healthy empathy. And you won't have everyone in your family rolling, and this is just me, rolling their eyes at you for all your helpfulness. So just put your hands over your chest. It doesn't even matter if you're a little to the left on the heart, it doesn't matter. And do a few slow circles right around on there. And imagine all the tissues of your chest softening, like you're just creating softness in the fascia and the skin and the muscle and the bones. And then when you have that nice and soft, I invite you, if you're on a camera right now and you can see yourself, you can look into the camera, but I want you to get up and go to a mirror and look at yourself with the soft eyes and the soft chest of someone who truly loves who they're seeing. The way you might look at your pet in the morning, or a young child who needs support. Take that now. Soften your chest, soften your gaze, and look into your own eyes and offer that unconditional love to you. It only grows. Remember, where you put attention grows. I'm sending you all so much love and so many wishes for just the self-nurturing that you need for this Mother's Day. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. Bye now.